Chapter 4, The Distribution of Life on Earth, Biomes and Communities. Video 3. A biome is a large-scale category that includes many communities of a similar nature. There are several major types of terrestrial biomes and 2 major aquatic biomes. For the most part, biomes are determined by climate. Particularly important is temperature, which is linked to altitude and latitude, as well as moisture and precipitation. Many small changes in temperature can affect changes in biomes over time. In this figure, we have latitude on the bottom. 0 is at the equator. 90 is at the poles. And then we have elevation. Obviously, at 90 degrees latitude, at 0 elevation, you have Arctic conditions. And if you stay at 0 elevation and move toward the tropics, you go through tundra, subarctic, humid continental, which is us, and coniferous forests, humid subtropical, desert areas, which have to do with precipitation, and then the tropical areas. Now, if you go to those same latitudes and go up in elevation, you will then reach those same types of dry and polar regions you got at 0 elevation at high latitude. So just by going up in elevation, you can get coniferous and deciduous forests on mountains in the tropics. And if you go high enough, you get to dry desert, and then even polar regions, where mountains are always covered in snow. In Maine and much of the northern U.S., growing zones set by the USDA have changed to reflect warming climate. Warmer climate and increased rainfall changes in the biome, allowing new plants and animals and even pathogens that did not exist before to thrive. Possible examples include tick-borne diseases such as Lyme, as well as the occurrence of eastern equine encephalitis in livestock, and to date, 2 people in New Hampshire, one just in the news yesterday. So you can see the climate is changing biomes. Changing climate changes biomes. The 7 major terrestrial biomes are tundra, grassland, savanna, desert, taiga, or boreal forests, temperate forests, and tropical forests. Rainforests, or tropical rainforests, now cover less than 6% of the Earth's surface. Scientists estimate that more than half of all the world's plant and animal species live in tropical rainforests. Tropical rainforests produce about 40% of Earth's oxygen, and average about 50 to 260 inches of rain every year. Rainforests belong to the tropical wet climate group. The temperature in a rainforest rarely gets higher than 93 degrees Fahrenheit or drops below 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and the average humidity is between 77 and 88%. About 1/4 of all medicines we use today come from rainforests. Rainforests are also divided into different areas within the biome. There's the upper canopy, where 60 to 130 foot trees are directly affected by sunlight. Then there's the understory, or lower canopy, that consists of 60-foot tall trees. This layer is made up of trunks of canopy trees, shrubs, plants, small trees. There's little air movement. As a result, the humidity is constantly high. And then the third area is the forest floor. The forest floor is usually completely shaded, except where the canopy tree has fallen, creating an opening. Most areas of the forest floor receive so little light that few bushes or herbs can grow here. As a result, a person can easily walk through most parts of tropical rainforest. Less than 1% of the light that strikes the top of the forest penetrates to the forest floor. The topsoil here is very thin and of poor quality, unlike boreal forests or deciduous forests in northern climates. A lot of litter falls to the ground where it is quickly broken down by decomposers like termites, earthworms, and fungi. The heat and humidity help further break down the litter. This organic matter is then just as quickly absorbed by the trees and the shallow roots. So most of the carbon and the energy and nutrients in the tropical rainforest is actually in the living matter. Savanna is rolling grassland scattered with shrubs and isolated trees, which can be found between tropical rainforests and the desert biome. Not enough rain falls on a savanna to support a forest. So, in some ways, they're tropical grasslands. Plants of the savannas are highly specialized to grow in this environment where there are long periods of drought. And most animals are either migratory, have wings, or burrow under the soil to protect themselves from dry conditions. Deserts cover about 1/5 the Earth's surface and occur where rainfall is less than 50 centimeters per year. Although most deserts, such as the Sahara of North Africa and the deserts of southwestern US, Mexico, and Australia, occur at low latitudes, another kind of desert, cold deserts, occur in the basin and range area of Utah and Nevada and parts of Western Asia. Most deserts have a considerable amount of specialized vegetation, as well as specialized vertebrate and invertebrate animals. Temperate grasslands. The most important plants in this biome are grasses. Temperate grasslands have become some of the darkest, richest soils in the world. In America, we call temperate grasslands prairies. Major grasslands in North America are the Great Plains of the Midwest, the Palouse Prairie of eastern Washington State, and other grasslands in the Southwest. In Eurasia, temperate grasslands are known as steppes, and they are found between the Ukraine and Russia. In South America, they are called pampas, and are located in Argentina and Uruguay. In South Africa, temperate grasslands are known as veldts. Grassland animal populations are similar throughout the world. The dominant vertebrates in grasslands are herbivorous or plant-eating grazers, called ungulates. Ungulates are mammals with hooves like horses and deer. Their long legs help them run fast to escape grassland predators. The temperate grassland does not have much animal diversity, especially compared to some place like the savanna. Deciduous forest. Temperate deciduous forests are located in the mid-latitude areas, which means they are found between the polar regions and the tropics. The deciduous forest regions are exposed to warm and cold air masses, which cause the area to have 4 seasons. There are deciduous forests in the eastern United States, Canada, Europe, China, and Japan. Temperature can range from 30 to 30 degrees Celsius. That's about 90 to minus 30 degrees Celsius, which is about, I have to calculate that, I'll get back to you. And you also get between 30 and 60 inches of rain per year. The taiga, or the boreal forest, is the largest terrestrial biome on Earth. It makes up about 29% of the world's forest cover. It stretches from across North America and Europe and Asia to the southern border of the Arctic tundra. It's also found at cool, high elevations in the more temperate latitudes. Taiga is defined by long, cold winters and short, mild, wet summers. Compared to other biomes, the taiga has less diversity in plant life. The most common type of tree found in the taiga is the conifer, or cone-bearing tree. Conifers, also known as evergreens, include pines, spruces, and firs. They may also occasionally be deciduous species present, such as oak, birch, willow, or alder, in particularly wet or disturbed areas. The soil of the taiga is thin, acidic, and not very nutrient-rich. It's also typically rocky. Animal populations are mainly seed-eating squirrels and jays, small mammals like ermine and moles, and larger browsing animals such as deer, moose, elk, and snowshoe hare. The bogs and ponds of the taiga provide a great summertime breeding place for many different insects. Migratory birds often come to the taiga to nest and feed on these insects. Typical predators for this area are grizzly bears, wolves, lynxes, and wolverines. Winter temperature is in the range of negative 54 to 1 degree Celsius. That's negative 65 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Temperature range in the summer gets as low as negative 7 degrees Celsius or 20 degrees Fahrenheit. The high summer can be about 21 degrees Celsius for a high. The zone of latitude occupied by boreal forest or taiga has experienced some of the greatest temperature increases on the Earth, especially during the last quarter of the 20th century. Winter temperatures have increased more than summer temperatures, and this has led to water stress in many areas, as water is no longer trapped in ice and evaporates. In Siberia, the taiga is converting from predominantly needle-shedding larch trees to evergreen conifers in response to warming climate. This is likely to further accelerate warming, as the evergreen trees will absorb more of the sun's rays than the larch. Given the vast size of the area, such a change has the potential to affect areas well outside the region. In much of the boreal forest or taiga in Alaska, the growth of white spruce trees are stunted by unusually warm summers, while trees on some of the coldest fringes of the forest are experiencing faster growth than previously seen. There's some evidence to suggest that additional carbon dioxide and methane, both greenhouse gases, will be liberated from warmer tundra and taiga soils as the buildup of detritus of thousands of years is finally freed to decompose. This additional release of greenhouse gases could accelerate global warming even further. Arctic tundra is the coldest of all the biomes. Tundra comes from the Finnish word tunturia, meaning treeless plain. The growing season ranges from about 50 to 60 days. The average winter temperature is minus 34 degrees Celsius, but the average summer temperature is only 3 to 12 degrees Celsius, somewhere between 37 and 54 degrees Fahrenheit, which enables this biome to sustain life. Rainfall may vary in different regions of the Arctic. Yearly precipitation, including melting snow, is from 15 to 25 centimeters or 6 to 10 inches, so it's not particularly wet, although water tends to stay on the surface because the subsoil is frozen. Soil is formed slowly. That layer of permanently frozen subsoil is called permafrost. Some characteristics of the tundra include extremely cold climate, low biotic diversity, simple vegetation structure, limited drainage, short season of growth and reproduction, energy and nutrients in the form of dead organic material, and large population oscillations. The two water biomes are marine and fresh water. Those are the two main aquatic biomes. Within the marine biome, there are subcategories that each have their own populations and communities. The littoral zone is the area between low and high tides. This area alternates between submerged and exposed to the atmosphere, which selects for plants and animals that can withstand periodic drying, as well as extremes of temperature. In addition, wave action in this area requires that organisms be able to fasten themselves securely to the bottom. The pelagic zone is the area that's in the water column, and then the benthic zone are those animals and plants that are associated with the bottom. In this image of Chesapeake Bay, you can find the variation in habitat based on water depth between bay, open ocean, littoral zone, which is hard to see, but you can imagine, and even tidal marsh. In this part of the chapter 4, we talked about what a biome is and what environmental conditions influence it. We also talked about the 7 major terrestrial biomes and their characteristics. You need to understand what are the differences between the taiga and the tundra, and why do you think these environments are most vulnerable to global warming? Also, what does the word benthic mean? Pelagic? These are things you can look up.